this and we have this body, but we, in a way, are also mostly just a nervous system, right? My body's like, nah, I can't do this anymore. You're going to meet stress. It's not like, and so I think sometimes the dialogue, especially on social media, is like, oh, to support my nervous system, I have to be calm all the time. I have to just lie around, or I have to like, yeah and no. So the nervous system is this really complex part of us that's always working.
Welcome back to the podcast. We are talking all things nervous system today. My name is Ula.
And I am Bree.
If your nervous system had a voice, what do you think it would be asking for more of?
Are you talking about my individual nervous system or humanity's nervous system? Because they might be the same or different.
Let's start with you.
Okay, right away in my mind, it was like, I'm here to support you. I'm here helping you all the time. Help me out too. So it's almost like a little like hardworking friend who's just saying like, yo, Bree, hey. I'm always working.
Help me help you.
Ooh, I like that. Help me help you. Yeah.
So, okay. And what do you think humanity's nervous system would be saying right now?
Well, that's a very broad generalization, and everybody has different experiences on different places in the earth. So there's the disclaimer. But I think generally speaking, and maybe this is what speaks to practices like yoga and their longevity, right? Like yoga is thousands, plural, years old wisdom tradition, and how it was relevant thousands of years ago to now is maybe what everybody's nervous system needs, which is calm, connection, knowledge of self, care of self, love of self, and not just keeping it to self, but like also community, collective care as well. So that's not a succinct sentence of what the collective nervous system is saying, but more like, what does the collective nervous system need? And and maybe a good answer to that is to look at these wisdom traditions.
I love that. And maybe, okay, so I'm actually reading To Anxious Generation right now, and coming from a Western society, a human being that carries an iPhone in her pocket all the time, I would probably say my nervous system needs a lot less screens in its life. / it's my job. So here we are. So balance, I think, and figuring it out and caring for our nervous system and like listening to what we need and not denying it. And I feel like just nervous system is this like buzzword right now. Speaking of social media, it's like all over the place. And for maybe other people who don't know much about it, it might just feel like a science class term, you like throwback kind of vibes. But for those of us who are on the map, Bree, what does it actually feel like to move with your nervous system in mind?
I love that. Okay, so let's first think about what the nervous system looks like. And of course, this is a podcast. We don't necessarily, it's hard to describe, but I would recommend Google nervous system. And so when you see it, it is this like, it takes the whole shape of the body. Because sometimes, like, so when you look at the circulatory system as just the circulatory system, that too shows the whole shape of the body because your circulation goes everywhere, hopefully, in a perfect, healthy body and world. But there's other things that maybe don't show the whole body in the way that the nervous system is the shape. So, and again, if you're going, okay, what's she talking about? Just take a moment and Google that and you'll see what I mean. Because the skeleton takes the shape of the body too, but the nervous system is more like a 3D rounder shape. And it's just these long, when you just look at it, of this image that I'm trying to describe, when you look at it, it's just like long electrical currents in a way, in a really simplified way of talking about it that connects to everything. The central nervous system, it's in the word itself, it's central. It is the thing that we are. And your nervous system is also what I've always liked to teach is it's like your best friend. It really is your BFF. So when I had answered that question, what's my nervous system saying? I thought of it as that best friend that's always looking out for you. It's a very hardworking best friend, and it's always wanting you to be in a state of homeostasis, which is balance. So for right or wrong, good or bad, your nervous system is trying to keep you in balance. So I think befriending our nervous system, so it's not just a one-way friendship where your nervous system, unbeknownst to you, is working so hard. You bring your mindfulness and attention, because sometimes that hard working ends up adapting to something that's less than healthy and good. It made sense for your nervous system to be adapted to your high cortisol stress state, let's say, because that's what's happening in your body, and you're going into, and I can speak from this in my own peer experience in my life. A bunch of years ago, I didn't even realize, but found out through testing that my cortisol wasn't even high anymore. I'd already been in for however long in a high cortisol experience, and then I was actually in low cortisol. So that's what happens when you've already been stressed and your cortisol's like, I can't do this anymore, and then just is like staying fairly flat, which was interesting because I didn't feel, and I like to think I'm somebody who's quite tuned in. I didn't feel super tired. Yeah, I was tired, but isn't everybody tired? Yeah, I had to drink 2 cups of coffee or whatever, but like, doesn't everybody? Yeah, work is stressful, but like my nervous system adapted me to that level of stress to a point, to that, so that I didn't actually overly notice it. Some other people, because in my mind, I always looked at stress as like, for me, in an acutely stressful scenario, my body goes, ooh, and I kind of like clench, or I can feel it in my belly, or I can feel it in my chest. But a long-term feeling of stress, your nervous system, or a cortisol response, high cortisol, we kind of get adapted to it. And I wonder if anybody's listening and kind of recognizes this in themselves, of you no longer see that and feel that intensity, that very clear, like, oh shit, I'm in stress mode, because that's kind of the new normal, and I actually feel okay and I'm not feeling this all the time. But my body told me otherwise. Right? My body's like, nah, I can't do this anymore. So your nervous system this is what a kind of like a way of describing that homeostasis. Your nervous system wants you to feel calm and wants you to be balanced. And so it's going to kind of adapt you for better or worse in a variety of ways. So yeah, so the nervous system is this really complex part of us that's always working, that's always, like, I feel like sometimes, like in a more poetic kind of way of thinking about it, it's, you are a nervous system, and it's how you sense and interact and feel the world. Yes, we contain multitudes and we're all this and we have this body, but we, in a way, are also mostly just a nervous system, picking up input, putting out input, receiving, give, like, it's complex and it's a lot. And there's a lot of facets to the nervous system, of course. So in this conversation, I'm keeping it kind of more generalized for us in this context of movement and yoga and whatnot, and mindfulness and health. But your nervous system's cool. It's cool. It's your best friend. It wants to work with you. But let's keep talking about it. Yeah.
It's interesting. You mentioned a couple things like cortisol and stuff like that. And I feel like on social media right now as well, like we're demonizing cortisol, but it's also part of that balancing process. Like we get cortisol in the morning. It is what wakes you up. So when Bree is describing your tanking, it's like we don't want to get rid of certain things. Like your body is designed to protect you from the world outside. And so oftentimes examples we hear of in the constant high stress, it's like your body's constantly thinking that a tiger is attacking you. And we don't want to be in that perpetual high stress. It's useful for times in danger. There's natural times you should be responding, but generally in our day and age, we tend to be in a high stress kind of life all the time. So then what does it actually mean as, let's say, yoga teachers or practitioners? What does it mean to move with that in mind? What does it mean to move our bodies with the nervous system in mind, Bree? Like, I know that's a big part. You do this a lot within the studio even.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so one of the things that I want to point out, and that you did point out that I want to expand on, is you're so right. We are designed, like, we're going to encounter stress to the nervous system all the time. We are actually functionally like wired for this. This is part of it. You walk out the door, you're going to meet stress. It's like, and so I think sometimes the dialogue, especially on social media, is like, oh, to support my nervous system, I have to be calm all the time. I have to just lie around, or I have to, like, yeah and no, because what you're right, a healthy nervous system can go, oh, here's a moment of stress. Oh, I was just about to cross the street and now a car almost hit me. My cortisol spikes. And then a healthy nervous system goes, Okay, cool, danger pass, we're back. And so circling back for a moment back to that me realizing, oh wow, what? My cortisol levels are not even doing that. So I had been living in that like high state as if, yeah, a bear was chasing me 24/7, even though it didn't feel that way. My nervous system thought it. And then my nervous system got tired and was like, I'm not even gonna, I don't I don't know even what I'm doing. I'm just gonna just not respond in its own way. And so, because I have a feeling like bringing that story into it, sometimes I can hear our listeners and what their questions are. And I have a feeling some of you listening are going to be like, well, tell us what you did. Like, are you still in that lower cortisol? Is it normal?
These 3 things
Yeah.
doctors don't want you to know.
Yeah. Here's the 5 things that I did to get my cortisol back.
Yeah.
I freaking wish, everybody, if only it was that simple. And it's going to be complex for each of us because, again, the nervous system is complex. Our lifestyle and circumstances are each individual and complex. Honestly, this was a bunch of years ago. And for me on that one, I don't know. I think I've said this in an episode before, but anyways, ultimately a big part of it was actually bringing Ula into the into the fold. She like I joke sometimes where I'm like, you've single-handedly like sort of fixed my cortisol levels, and it probably wasn't quite like that, but Ula has been so indispensable because I think pre then it was just me and those who have been part of the Heart Bones universe for a long time. You'll know and remember Shannon, our multifaceted, fantastic admin, who'd been with me since day one. And for a lot of years, it was just her and I running this business, which was a lot. And so this was normal. I'm a hard worker. I am somebody who can just get stuff done and get stuff done. And I may have a propensity to try to to work hard, especially because I'm passionate about the work that I do. And as great as it was, I got burnt out, evidently, right? My physiology said, no, this isn't sustainable. And so part of the healing of my nervous system for that was to actually not do it all. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise,
Surprise, yeah, surprise, surprise. Exactly, like, but it's hard. And I run to recognize and point out, because this is where Ula had made the joke of like, here's the 3 things doctors don't want you to know, or the 5 things that are going to support your nervous system. Well, there's also, of course, on this podcast, we can't also not name the world that we're in. And a lot of people in socioeconomic circumstances might have a lot of kids, a lot of jobs, and don't have the resources in whatever form to be able to outsource and take some of the load off. So I just want to acknowledge that when we talk about the nervous system and stress release, there's a very real systems, there's systems of power. Again, if you've listened to any episode when that happens, that's our now catchphrase jingle. Playfully, of recognizing the socioeconomic layered impact of why our nervous systems are the way they are. So acknowledging our cultural conditioning and what's happening in the world. I'm going to say that, boom. If we can change it somehow, that's a multifaceted answer as well. So I had the fortune at the time to bring Ula full time, and that took a lot off. And then also out like having some other people on our Heart Bones team. So expanding the team and letting go of control for me helped. I am somebody who moves every day. So this is kind of long-winded circling back to your question of like, what can we do to help the nervous system? So movement helps for me in this phase of my life, strength training. So yes, yoga, and like, yes, yoga, because yoga is this fabulous like mindfulness and movement and awareness. But sometimes I find for me, and I've been doing it for over a decade, but I've in the last couple of years, I've been very consistent about it, kind of 4 times a week. And I love it because it feels like a weighted blanket. Me, like not lying, obviously, I'm not at the gym lying around with weights on me like a weighted blanket. I'm lifting heavy things, but I kind of in my nervous system feel a heavy deadlift or a heavy back squat, like having the heaviness and the weight and the struggle and the push and the mental, like, Bree, you're strong, you can do this. It actually gives me that endorphins. It gives me that like the closest thing I can say is a weighted blanket without a weighted blanket, because that's a different thing. So that helps for me. Walks in the forest, therapy, right? Like, so it's a actually, let me circle back on that one. My friend, therapy. I used to think that I was like, I'm fine. I've been doing yoga for 20 years. I don't have that much trauma-ish, I'm great. I've got self-awareness. And then I started therapy actually around the same time that the cortisol was happening, unbeknownst to me. That was actually I didn't put that together till now. And then just, wow, like finding a really good therapist. And half the time now I go once a month, and half the time I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. I'm feeling pretty good. And there's always something beautiful always comes out of it. Because in that case now, where it can just, yeah, just talk about things that I think aren't impacting me, but actually totally are. So, anyways, all of this is to say, I think like a whole buffet menu of different things for the nervous system is really important. So, the mindfulness, the therapy, right? Being in, because I also love therapy because it's connection with another person. And that's really powerful. And in fact, do not quote me on any of this because I feel like it was a video I saw on social media ages ago. But I think someone who was a therapist said that, in fact, none of the modalities or the different types of therapy are as effective. What the most effective is actually the therapeutic process, being in conversation with another human being where you can be seen and heard. And I don't know about you, just even saying that, my nervous system just went, ah. Oh, safe container, an hour a week or a month or however long. Like, that's powerful. But that's not sexy. We can't say that on social media. Well, you can, but it's not like it's going to get a million views. Like, the doctors don't want you to know this one thing.
Several years ago, I read a book called Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. One thing that they had written, and I think kind of loops back to what we're talking about, is often when we're stressed, we try to work on the stressor when we should be working on the stress, and they're two separate things. And for me, that was really eye-opening because, yes, when I'm in the moment stress that whatever it is, the house isn't clean, oh my God, I need to clean the house, or this project is due, I need to do this project. Doing the project isn't actually going to help my body flush the stress and flush the cortisol. I actually probably would be better to stand up, take 5 minutes to like wiggle, move my body, maybe do a sun salutation, take a dog for a walk, all those things, and like work physically through the stress, and then come back with a calmer, demeanor and mind and body. And I think this also goes back to what you're talking about, Brie, of like, we don't know everyone's situation at home, but maybe being able to go in the bathroom and shut the door and do a couple jump squats and shake it out and get that moving, and then open the door and start fresh again, rather than like hammering the thing that is like stressing you out in that moment. And I know we have probably, like, obviously this is like a yoga teacher podcast, so we have a lot of teachers listening. As a yoga teacher yourself and a teacher of teachers, is there anything that you could share with the teachers listening that they could do to support their students' nervous system? Like, we're heading into, if you're listening to this, as soon as it goes live, we're heading into a busy season. The holidays are on the corner. Winter is wintering here in Canada. So it is high stress peak time right now, folks. What can we do for our students right now?
It's so cheesy, and I don't love that this is the first thing that popped into my mind because I feel like it's so overused. But put your gas mask. Put your
No.
Not
no.
put your airbag or whatever. See, I can't even.
Whatever the flight analogy is, that.
Yeah. I think that's how much I abhor using that like thing. I can't even say it right. But basically, take care of your nervous system first as best we can. And I think but circling back to that wise advice, hey, like, so when we say take care of your nervous system first as best we can, I think you pointed out really important ways of reframing it, because you're right, it's not, and including if you're like, oh well, I just need to meditate more, but like getting yourself to even meditate is stressing you out because you can't. Maybe it's not meditation that you need. Maybe it's actually just a long walk in the forest, or as you said, like a little shakeout blah, in the bathroom, and just like, okay, I'm back. Like, I just shook out the stressor for a bit. I think that's actually like mic drop advice, right? But it's so simple that I don't think a lot of us value it when we first do it or when we think of it. Because, like, especially as yoga teachers, literally, what do we do for a living? We are here to help people feel good. We have been doing our teacher trainings and taking workshops and other like we're so imbued with all the like tools to make our nervous system good that I think if I can speak for a lot of yoga teachers, A, doing it for ourselves is the hardest part. B, then it also creates pressure because we know all the things. We know slowing down is good. Oh, we know a shavasana a day is great. I'm making that up. I don't know. There's no scientific study that says just not to put pressure on you. But, lying around, doing your practice is all good. But if you're struggling to do that, that's also okay. So it's like, what are the other layers? Why do I feel pressure? Why can't I get this done? And can I reframe then the things that support my nervous system? So I say this all the time, and I'm going to repeat it a million times more. One of the easiest things I think is to actually do. So here's some homework if you want to listen as you're listening to this. You have homework for your nervous system. Ask yourself, tune into the wisdom of your body and ask yourself, what is nourishing for me? And I hope you come up with a whole long list of things, not just like yoga, shavasana, like, yes, but also that's also very broad. Let's get and put some pressure, in my opinion. So I don't want us to put yoga, meditation. Let's get more specific. Is it 5 minutes of yoga? Is it doing 20 minutes of yoga in the morning? Is it doing yoga once a week? Is it going to a class? Is meditation a walk in the forest for you, not listening to a podcast? Like, so I think the more specific we can get on the question of what nourishes me is really important. And like picky and specific. So again, like yoga, yeah, we can all write yoga down. That's going to make us feel good. But how does yoga show up for you? For me, if I wrote down yoga and then I had this unconscious story that, oh, well, now I have to do yoga is good for me. So now I have to do an hour of yoga a day. I know myself. I am not that person. I am not wired to go on my yoga mat an hour a day. I do little bits of yoga more like throughout the day. I don't do one whole thing. And so then actually would be stressing me out even more if I wrote a list with this thing that says yoga and then I'm never going to do it. And then I'm like, but this is my list of the nourishing. And then I'm right. Do you see how like that kind of creates even more the stress? So as you're writing this lovely list, tuning into your body, what nourishes me, I highly encourage very specific. And then put that list beside your mirror, put it on your phone, put it in your reminders, whatever you need, so that when you're feeling like, oh, there's my nervous system. Oh, okay, I'm feeling really stressed. I should do something. Then you can have that like actual thing that you thought about in a good moment, meaning like your cortisol. Hopefully you write this list when you're feeling grounded and calm and connected and thoughtful. Because when we're stressed out, our brain is not braining the way it normally should. And so your decision making capacity is not as good. And so being like, well, what should I do to support myself? It's like, well, now I'm not making good decisions. Oh, right. I've got that really great, handy little list I wrote. It's like, then you get a fun little buffet. You're like, ooh, which nervous system thing can I do today? What one feels nice? I hope that all makes sense. Like it gives you a little ease.
It's like there's like the dopamine menu is a bit of a trend, I think, going around right now. And as you're talking, I was like, I didn't actively think about this, but I did think about this. Like last week, I was sitting down. I do my morning pages every day. As we head into winter, I know this is a time for myself and for many people where the darkness does affect me. And so what am I doing in the coming months to make sure that my not just my physical but my mental health and wellness are doing well? And some things are very obvious, like I am going to we have a gym in the house, 20 minutes in the gym, just like lifting really heavy every second day. It's 20 minutes. I can make 20 minutes work. I just have to like walk into the room, do something for 20 minutes. But then on the other side, it's like really simple things, like I have my little candles I burn all the time. I bring the light into the house. So it's like finding those like moments to bring like little touches of of joy and like dopamine, I guess, into my life as
And
well.
seeing them as that, sorry to throw in, because and actually because you're already doing that stuff, but sometimes it's like, oh, I need to go do the 20 minutes, I need, but it's like actually these little acts of love of like, actually no, when I'm lighting my candles, it's my moment to just, okay, and this is helpful. Oh, I'm sipping my tea, I'm doing my morning pages, and actually valuing it and seeing it as such makes a big difference.
Do you think as teachers we should be like actively talking about the nervous system in the class, or do you think it's kind of like through guiding a class you're already helping students with their nervous system?
I think in a perfect world, in a perfect, what is a perfect world? There's no such thing. But in a place like ultimately, ideally, yes, our yoga practice should be supporting fundamentally our nervous system, whatever style of yoga that we're doing. However, I've been to yoga classes where I don't think they were helping my nervous system. I don't think, like, I'm remembering way back in my early days of teaching and going to, I think I'd only gone to this one teacher once, and it was an Iyengar teacher, and it is that was not that was not nervous system supportive. Where it was, she was very old school Iyengar. So if anybody knows Iyengar yoga, like I actually used to go to a wonderful, like that practice was not my jam necessarily, but I actually did it for a couple of years because I had a really wonderful teacher. But this other teacher was a little bit more old school, and she just sounded like a drill sergeant, right? So a lot of the cueing was like boom boom, and it was like the type of teacher that would like hit your thighs because they're not engaged enough. So you're in fear on some level of like, oh, am I performing good enough, and if it's not, I'm going to get hit, like sometimes, like. And so my favorite part of this story is that even at the end, right, so we did shavasana, we're coming back to the class, we're sitting back up, and our, you know, our palms are together, about to do om, and she was like, and now bow your head to the divine. And there was just a way that, like, it wasn't like, and now bow your head to the divine, or whatever nice thing that you say. It was still drill sergeant-y, where I felt like, I was like, oh, okay, bow my head. Oh, okay, aye, Captain. Like, it just, so just to use that kind of playful story, and I'm sure, I hope she evolved the teaching, and what, this was 2 decades ago. This, anyways, I don't think that's supportive for the nervous system. So yes, it was yoga, but my nervous system probably didn't love that. So that's, we're back into, if we're creating, so here's how we can do it as teachers, have we've evolved. So offering inclusive classes, and we do have our podcast episodes, plural, I think, where we're how to teach inclusive classes, and you know, let's go back and listen to that. But when we teach inclusive classes, that shows up in a lot of different ways. And one of the effects of inclusivity goes back to, I think, similar to that theory of that I mentioned before of the therapeutic relationships. Disclaimer: yoga teachers are not therapists. But the point being, when we're in places where we are seen as we are, where we don't have to shift or adapt or conform in order to belong, that is amazing on the nervous system. That's like, your nervous system is now like, woo, I can be my wildly weird self. Awesome. Like, that's powerful. So yes, it's the yoga, but it's also the container and the space that we create and the intention. So giving people freedom to do what they need to, the words that we use, right? So the way that we, obviously using that drill sergeant example, that is less, in my opinion, for me, in my body, that was way less supportive of my nervous system than more invitational cues. Like, hey, try this out. Does that feel good? Or here's 3 different options of doing this. Try them all out, see which one feels best for you, and then do it. Right? That's like your nervous system. So it's not even just like, okay, to teach a nervous system supportive class, I have to have 10 minutes of breathing, 10 minutes of shavasana, this and that and that. Like, yes, and maybe, but what are the like deeper stories of the nervous system? How are our words? What are our words? How are they received? Yeah, so I think that's a big one to think about. And again, that's not concise. It's not, if you've never thought about inclusive classes or the cues that you use, like now you're on a fun journey of actually going like, cool, now what is inclusive yoga and how can I shift and adapt my teaching? Yeah.
It's interesting as you're talking. I was also thinking about when I used to teach in person. I don't do that anymore. But like reading the room, like you have a plan and then you go into class and you realize, yeah, maybe it's December something and people are running and rushing and there's mud in the entrance because people are throwing their boots around and blah, blah, blah. And you're thinking, I'm going to do this like whatever powerful class. And the vibe is, I need a break from my day. And it doesn't necessarily mean, gentle practice, but maybe being mindful of that and how the approach to the class, maybe cut out a couple of things and give them 2 more minutes in shavasana, like the real reason that they're there, right? Like just being just being like mindful of what's happening. There's a world outside of the yoga studio, and for a lot of people, like the studio space is essentially the one time of their day that they're doing something for themselves. So
Very good point.
yeah, speaking of studios, I want to talk about us a little bit because, why not? We're actually talking about Restmas a lot now, but depending on when you listen to this, we've been doing Restmas for a while. If you've never heard of it, it's a-okay. Brie, can you just tell us a little bit about it? I want you to actually maybe take us back to the origin. Why did you start Restmas?
Well, actually, that's funny because it's like read the room, but it was more like read the world because I started it on social media. I want to say that I started it. I always like it's for me. It's so handy because we launched Heart and Bones in 2018, so it's like that's such a like date in my brain. So like it's sort of like before and after, like BCE, like everything post and everything pre. And so this was pre 2018. I don't remember if it was like 16. Anyways, dates don't matter. Almost 10 years ago. Holy guacamole. I think I was really tired. If it was almost 10 years ago, I had a 5-year-old kid, right? And so that had been 5 years of parenting a spirited child, which was a lot, right? Alone. Not like sorry, not parenting alone, but like that alone is challenging, and teaching and building my business and so on and so forth. So I think I was tired, and Christmas time was coming around, and I think that's when I was really starting to do more on Heart and Bone or on, yeah, I think Heart and Bones was Heart and Bones at the time on social media. And social media, especially in those early days, was a very creative outlet for me. And I liked making videos and putting things out there and helping people. And so I think Restmas came into my mind. I don't think I'm the first person in the world to have come up with this name. I don't TM it. It's not like there's copyright on it. But I was like, wait, it's Christmas. Also, maybe being a Christmas baby, I was born on Christmas Day. So I already have a fraught experience with Christmas time. It's anybody who's born in and around that era or that time of year knows it's an interesting time to have a birthday. So anyway, so I'm all these things I think were coalesced into, I'm going to start posting things and calling it Restmas celebrations. Because instead of Christmas and the stress and all the things that are associated with the holidays, can we make time for rest? And so I think the first couple of years were just like, hey, I'm going to post restful things for the month of December, or maybe the first 2 weeks of December before Christmas, and join along with me. This was all on social. And then when we launched Heart and Bones, then it became, of course, a little bit more of a promo, which was like, actually, you know what? Then the genesis of that was me getting annoyed. It was kind of 2019, 2020. It must have been around 2020 where I had in that November, I was calling it on social media, No Billionaire Vember. Really sort of smooth off the tongue, No Billionaire Vember, where, like here it's the pandemic. All these like massive corporations are just raking in so much money. Billionaires' wealth expanded exponentially, still happening 5-6 years later, still happening. And so I was like, F this, small businesses, we should focus on that. And so then I got annoyed at all of that, decided to do our version of Black Friday, which was like basically behind the scenes, fuck Black Friday, but in also maybe not the best way to promote one's business, maybe. I was like, okay, let's do Restmas as $1 for 1 month. So instead of the consumerism, supporting horrible corporations, give a month to your nervous system for the month of November for $1, access to Heart and Bones Online, and just chill the F out. said, of course, a little. I don't know why I had to have the swear with it, but that was that. And so ever since then, it's always our annual promo, and it's amazing. And it's amazing to see how many people join us for that, because seriously, the consumerism is also stress on the nervous system. Like, I know there's so many people that love the holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate. And within that, you can love it, but it's so stressful. Family times, if we've lost loved ones and then you're celebrating this time of year without that person or people in your life, or you've got issues with family. Like, there's so many reasons why this time of year sucks and is really hard on the nervous system. So going back to what you said earlier in this conversation, Ula, of like those short little movements, those short little things that support the nervous system, that's what I love about offering, well, any of the classes at any time of the year in Heartbones Online, of course, is like we have classes that are 5 minutes long. We have ones that are an hour and a half, and everything in between. But it kind of hopefully gets people into the habit of doing those little things more often for the nervous system, just pressing play. You don't even have to think. Pick a class, any class, they're all great. There's no beginner or advanced. It works for everybody mostly, right? Because every body has different needs. So not all classes, but most classes. But basically, it's just easy for you to decide what you need. Or there's curated playlists where you don't even have to choose. And you're like, love this, go, boom. Or we have our Restmas Advent calendar, which is like a really fun, in December, really fun weekly thing where you get to just like, who remembers the chocolate in being a kid and the advent calendars? That was my favorite part of Christmas and December. And now you get to do a movement version of that where you like open up and it's locked until the next day. And you're like, ooh, what class is it going to be? So yeah, kind of having that reframe and opportunity within the inevitable stress that the holidays bring for most of us, maybe a little happy sanctuary of goodness that's Restmas for me. And that's maybe the genesis of it and the current.
If anyone caught that, in the studio, we have something that it's like a dashboard. So for the month of December, we adapt it and turn it into an advent calendar. So those classes, generally are not very long because, like we've been talking about, you don't need an hour, you don't need 90 minutes of movement to reap the benefits. And knowing that December for a lot of people can feel like quite a lot, just keeping that in mind. And we have like one of our taglines for our brand is like just hit play. So making it as easy and smooth as possible. Yeah. And like, I guess like some people might be asking, Brie, like, can a few minutes of movement really make a difference in how I feel and how my mind handles stress?
And scene. Yeah. Heck yes. 100%. Like, yes, and yes, and yes. And the key is to do it more often. Like, is 1 5-minute thing once a month going to make an impact? No, but still it's better than 0 things all month. But when you can start to make that sustainable habit, so it's really good on so many levels, because level 1 is, oh, this is a manageable habit. I can fit 5 minutes into my daily life more than I can fit an hour and a half, especially going to your local studio where you also have to drive and have to do all the things. And then when it's 5 minutes, you go, oh, actually, I did that practice. I did that shoulder move. I did whatever it was for 5-10 minutes. And holy, that actually felt really good. You can tangibly feel the results in your body. It's not like a pretend thing. You trust me, like test me out on this, my friends. Go do a 5-minute practice of any sort and be like, oh yeah, especially if it's focused on the shoulders or the hips or something, a specific body part. And you're going to be like, oh, that actually made a difference. And then that's impetus to get you to do it maybe twice a day or a couple times a day. And maybe it's 2 minutes, maybe it's 15. But then you're like, oh, this is manageable and it makes a difference. And then there's the buy-in. And then I think that habit and pattern that we like, it just becomes a lot more sustainable. It becomes easier to create the habit and the pattern. So yes.
If someone's listening right now, like what's something they could do today to support their nervous system that's like realistic, that's sustainable?
There's so many things and it's hard to actually like narrow it down to one. So I'm going to go something more overviewy rather than like relax your shoulders or soften your jaw more often. Like all those things are nice, but something more broad and overview. I'm going to go back to my homework that I gave. go right, take the time, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and get so specific. Think in your mind, like, what makes me, like, what nourishes me? And again, like, is it 5 minutes of yoga more often? Is it going to my favorite class? Is it going for walks with my best friend where we totally bitch and like verbally process stuff, or laugh, or whatever the thing may be? Is it therapy? Is it like, just, and have that available when you need it? And then maybe also to tack that on, so it's two things now, is also like, where's there pressure in my life? And that's a deeper question, and I think a trickier question, and I think having external support to help answer that with you, because I just thought back to cortisol Brie back however many years ago. It would have been hard for me to answer that, well, or slash easy, because I did know what the pressure was, but there would have been I think, like, I say hard because I think there would have been a block. I think there would have been part of me that was like, don't tell me. I don't want to think about the pressure, because I was already so pressured. It was so hard to change it because I was in the middle of it, of like, but if I decrease the pressure, then that means I can't run my business, or things are going to fall apart, or like, right, the things that I have built up to get to that pressured point. But I think that's an interesting reflection question. Like, what is creating pressure in my life right now? Because then that's stress on the nervous system, and your nervous system is going to be working harder in those areas. So yeah, best of luck to us
Yeah,
all.
take care of yourself, everyone. Take 5, take
Yeah.
5.
On
On
that
that
note.
note, okay, on that note, I actually will leave a link in the bio, or the description. So sorry. I will leave a link in the description. So if you are interested in joining us for Restmas, please do. We would love to have you inside the studio. Bree, is there anything else you'd like to add?
So many things. I feel like I could talk about the nervous system all day long. And I think because it is so multifaceted. So just, where is the pressure in my life? How can I be gentler to myself, right? How can I be softer with myself? These are just reflective questions I can't answer for you. But even in the midst of the busyness, even if there's things that you can't change, what are the little, this is how I like to frame them, and this is a nice way to leave, I think, is like, what are the little acts of love I can do for myself? What are the little things that I'm doing? Even, I don't, like, thinking about like rituals that we're doing every day anyways, like brushing your teeth. Hopefully we're all brushing our teeth at least twice a day, every single day. So in that daily ritual that we're already doing, can I do it where I'm not also scrolling at the same time? Can I do it where maybe I'm brushing my teeth and I'm feeling my feet on the floor? Right. And I'm feeling a feeling of, or I'm feeling the experience of my body while I brush my teeth, or even let's call it a brushing teeth meditation. What is it? When's the last time you actually paid attention? And I don't know this answer myself either, because now I'm just saying this, but like, I think, was the last time you really paid attention to the teeth, like the sensations of the teeth brushing? Maybe you have an electric toothbrush and it kind of gives an interesting vibration. What's the flavor of the toothpaste? And it sounds kind of silly saying it, but that's our awareness and that's our mindfulness. And we're actually engaged in the moment. That is a moment of act of love, because it's an act of tuning in and caring and observing and not overthinking. Okay. And finally, I had one last thing that I meant to say during this call, and it just came back to me now about the nervous system. Part of it is about control. I think when we're overstressed, overworked, overthinking, overanalyzing, all those kind of overwords, they come out of control, because we're trying to, like, we're probably feeling out of control. So we're trying to control as if that was doing something, but it's not. It's not quite doing what we want. And so if we can loosen the control on these things and not have to overanalyze and overdo, and do these little acts of love, like, I'm going to pay attention when I brush my teeth, or I'm going to wash the dishes and really be engaged in washing the dishes. That's letting go of control and that extra stuff. And it really does bring us back into the body. So may with these little acts of love support our nervous systems, and may we all do it and know that we're all out there hopefully doing it together, each in our own way.
Well, thank you, Bree.
Thank you, Ula.